Hello everyone, it's PJ CC here, light language healer, shaman healer, speak sacred transmissions, sharing with you today on the title of Raw. And what Raw means is I've been guided to come on by spirit without, just with the heading of a subject because something just came up. So Raw because it relates to my current life in some way. And the reason they don't want me to prepare is they don't want me to share really authentically and in the moment, rather than taking a little bit of time thinking about how I'm going to say things. And that's how sort of the ego and the personality interrupt. So what I'm going to talk about today is something that I'm relating to in my own life at the moment, is being okay with others not knowing your side of the story. This one's a tricky one. This is something I have struggled with my whole life. By no means am I perfect, but I've been over-focused on never wanting to upset anyone else, will often self-sacrifice in order to make sure others are okay. So I've had a pattern of pleasing. Unless I'm pushed to the absolute point, and it's, say, a real obvious injustice, then I'm sort of a different kettle of fish, like we all can be. So I'm currently in a situation where someone is upset with me, and instead of being open and honest and speaking to me openly and honestly and asking me direct questions, this soul has chosen to jump to conclusions, assume, and has run with that and told many other people. And as far back as I can remember, as a wee tacker, I've always been a bit of a right fighter and always wanted to speak my truth. So I've carried with me some wounds from my childhood, like we all have. And I was not believed about a couple of things in my childhood. Therefore, I got no help or support with them. And they were pretty serious things. And so I've carried on a theme of needing to be heard, needing to be seen as, I haven't done anything wrong, and often do too much to try and be seen that way, I suppose. Not that I'm perfect, but you know what I'm saying. So, of course, when you carry these wounds and these belief systems and these patterns of behaviour, you continually attract what you're carrying, good, bad, or indifferent. You know what I'm saying? So I'm now presented with a situation where someone's talking to a lot of other people, and it's getting back to me. Now, old me would have gone and said something directly to this person, and said, I know you're saying X, Y, and Z to this person, this person, this person. How dare you? blah, 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 blah. And in the last 2 years, I've been not reacting to a lot of things like this. I've been taking my time to meditate on situations rather than reacting straight away. Sometimes even taking days before I'll respond to something, which has been very challenging for me. Now, the reason I've been doing this is because daily, a couple of times a day, I will command my higher self, so the part of me that's connected to God, Bob, the universe, higher power, whatever label you want to give it, and commanding that part of me to drop into my heart, to completely take over, because that's the part of me that knows all, yeah? And that's had many lifetimes and blah, 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 yeah? So, and I command it to see for me, hear for me, speak for me. And throughout the day, after like saying that intent out loud, I'll connect to my heart, put my hand on my heart, and just reaffirm. Especially if I'm going to walk into a situation that I know is going to be challenging or confronting. So I can come from more of a heart space, knowing that deep down this individual that I'm speaking of today they know what they're doing to a degree, obviously, but it's probably coming from their wounds and they're just being reactive. So, no, I'm not going to be walked all over, but at the same time, I'm not going to attack in return. This person's operating from their wounds. It's triggered my wounds. So, I've wanted and I've observed myself wanting to charge in there and go blah, 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 blah. You said that, I've chosen to only tell 2 people what's going on, because enough people know too much anyway, and a lot of it isn't truth, sadly. And I'm trying to hold space for this individual and take time, hoping that they'll reflect and come to their senses and start to operate differently, or finally contact me and ask me directly rather than assuming and all the rest of it. Sadly, that individual has chosen not to do so. And I don't got to do anything. I'm choosing to try and hold a higher energy of recognizing that this person's operating from their old wounds and there's lessons for them, and there's also been lessons for me in this. It's been very confronting, and I've chosen to pull away, take my time, and I've responded a few times with space in between though. And this individual has, lashed out from their wounds and said stuff like, you're just avoiding, you're running away, blah, blah, blah. And of course, my ego and my personality didn't like being accused of that and really wanted to lash out in return. But I knew in my heart that I was actually removing myself and withdrawing to take time to consciously respond rather than react from my wounds. And this takes a lot of practice, especially when you've got it coming from a few angles at once, and especially when you've got people approaching you saying, did you know this individual said about you? So this has been a massive lesson for me, practicing radical acceptance of how this individual's choosing to have their experience. And that when the people have approached me to tell me what's been said, I, in return, haven't gone, well, she did. I've chosen not to involve them further, because I keep anchoring my higher self. This is the vibe I'm getting. Less is more. Let it play out. Do you know what I mean? So I've just said, oh, that's not quite how it happened, and that's a shame, and I'll work it out. Thank you very much. Didn't want to make it bigger with he said, she said, da 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 da. I did give this person an opportunity. I let them know that I sort of knew some stuff, and they decided not to elaborate or ask any questions. I sort of tried to give an opportunity, but it didn't happen. And so my biggest lessons here at the moment is learning to be okay that there's a number of people that are believing this individual of what I've apparently said and done and what I'm apparently going to do. So my lesson in this has been learning, as long as I know what the truth is, what other people may choose to think about me because of what they've heard is none of my business. And if these people are going to choose to believe someone else without talking to me or being more informed, that's their choice. And clearly they're not that close to me anyway. Or maybe they're just not meant to be in my vibration anymore. It's been really challenging to not be believed and to be accused of things when I've put so much conscious awareness into responding, like first of all, taking time, holding space, looking at it from all points of view, not just my own, being willing to look at my own behavior and think, can I be doing this differently? Could have I done it differently? Have I been clear? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, big lessons. The situation's not fully resolved yet. I've still got to, unfortunately, have to see this person again due to some circumstances. So it's about me connecting with my higher self before I do so, holding that higher awareness, consciousness. If my buttons get pressed, if the person lashes out, not to drop down and meet them where they're currently projecting from their wounds or their belief system, and then attacking back or whatever from my wounds. So my intent is to really be the observer that this individual is struggling and projecting, and try and do what I need to do as quickly and as quietly as possible, and then remove myself. And yes, I got to be honest, I am quite hurt. This was a friend. So on that level, dealing with feeling, betrayed, hurt, sad, angry, grief, I got to admit, experiencing all those things too. But because I'm anchoring my higher self a few times a day and before I need to interact, it's like I'm able to hold more conscious light around me and see this whole situation from a higher perspective. I've also been meditating and doing some breath work a couple of times a day so I can hold, for want of a better word, and anchor my higher self. Because when our childhood wounds get triggered, even as an adult, from someone displaying a behaviour or an experience that you're having, it's really easy for when that sort of volcano, that trigger comes up, that you feel like you've got to deal with it now, you've got to speak it now, you've got to fix it now, you've got to be heard. And this is part of the lesson as we raise our frequency, as we evolve more, as we, especially as light workers that are working with healing energies and serving humanity, being of service. Light workers are sort of, for want of a better word, need to be even more responsible with how they're responding to others, whether they're reacting or responding. It's part of that self-mastership. It's part of stepping into non-limited thinking. It's about letting go and being aware of your wounds and your old belief systems and choosing to respond rather than react, so you can finally let go of those, conditioning and programs and experiences you've had, so you can start living a new life with new experiences without those old triggers and wounds operating, and then you reacting, and then you're just back in a loop of how you've reacted in the past. So then you attract this all over again with new people. It really is a loop, and it really is worth. Look, how I started learning how to respond rather than react took a lot of practice. I actually made a 24-hour rule for myself. So if something happened where I was triggered and it was face to face, I'd remove myself. I'd tell the person I'm removing myself, talk to you later, and I would give myself 24 hours, or if I got a bad text, give myself 24 hours before replying. And now, of course, me being a Taurus, that's all about speaking and throat chakra and truth, and I've got to be heard because of my wounds and all the rest of the wah-wah. This was very challenging because all you want to do is get this energy out. And often we project it, and we're not just shooting, for want of a better word, the person that's triggered us. Our past that's similar to what this person's displaying, we're going to shoot them with that as well. They don't deserve it. You know what I mean? So I thought, how do I honor myself that I want to get this energy out, but also wait and respond until the energy has been cleared and I can respond from a higher, more loving awareness, observing state. So what I normally do is I'll get some pen and paper and I'll write to the person and get all the anger out, all the sadness out, all the how dare yous, and allow the inner child or the wounds to speak. And I'll put it to the side. 12 hours later, I'll reread it, see if I'm still getting the same And often I'll rewrite it, but it'll be much different response. It's a lot less, it's a lot more sort of the facts rather than the wounds. And then I'll wait another 12 hours, hence the 24 hours. And I'll reread the second version of what I've written, of my thoughts, feelings, emotions, blah-de-blah-de. And I will sit there and hold space, putting love into myself, and ask my higher self to drop in and take over and help me see the situation from a higher awareness observing state, and ask my higher self, if I don't already know, what is this triggering in me? Why am I so reactive? Because for me to be having such an urgent reaction that I need to fix it now, speak my truth, now means it's hit a wound. It's hit an old belief system, a core. It's reminded me of how, I've been treated before. So I'll sit with that for a while. And from that, I'll weigh up the sort of pros and cons on, is it beneficial at all to now respond to this person? What are the pros and cons of doing that? What's the possible fallout? Is me needing to speak my truth worth the possible fallout? And I'm finally coming to a place, I can't believe it, I'm even shocking myself. So thank you, higher self. Thank you, my divine team that's loving me and supporting me and guiding me at the moment, because I'm continually connecting to my higher self, asking for the higher wisdom, asking to see it from a higher perspective. I'm actually not feeling like I've got to justify and explain myself. This is sort of a new thing in the last 12 months or so. And what's particularly interesting in this situation is I've recently had, within the last 8 weeks, a couple of really big interpersonal, close people in my life really betray me. One was a 7-year relationship and one was a 5, and both shocked me like I couldn't believe it. So to have sort of 3 things happen that are pretty big in such a small time frame, at first, this situation, because I was still hurt and angry, processing the last 2 situations, part of me really wanted to react and just So I knew that I would have to dig a lot deeper and do a lot more meditation and hold a lot more space and do a lot more venting with writing, so I could respond rather than react. So this has been extra challenging. So obviously, the situation isn't completely over yet, but I was guided to share this with you guys today because Spirit said many people will benefit from this conversation, and don't pre-think what you're going to say. Just get on and be authentic and share from your heart. And, if it benefits a handful of people that can relate, then it's worth doing. So here I am. I used to want to prepare a bit more before I got on and did a video, and Spirit's just asking me to trust myself more, that I do have pure intent, and to share from my heart. And people perhaps will benefit because of that. So there's a couple of strategies I've shared today. Try and put them into practice. You know, they don't always work the first time or the second time when you start using new tools or strategies. So be persistent and just remember to observe your thoughts and your emotions, that they're often not your real ones, for want of a better word. It's normally because they're triggered they've triggered a past energy and emotion. So you're wanting to project from that inner child or that teenager self or that 25-year-old that was burnt badly by X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? So you can still honour yourself and speak your truth. You're just taking more time and space so you can see it from a higher perspective and you can weigh up the fallout, whether it's worth speaking your truth or not. But most importantly, you know the truth of what happened and what didn't happen. And it doesn't matter how many other people have been told whatever they've been told, that you know the truth. And what other people may think from one side of a situation, to learn how to be okay with that. And if you're not okay with that, why? What's in your past that still isn't resolved and healed? And maybe do some writing to those people and then rip it up or burn it afterwards or sit with it for 24 hours or, you know, yeah, so that's my advice for today and my experience at the moment. And I hope that helps. Blessings to you all and see you again soon. If you like this video and this share, please like it. Please show your support. Subscribe and hit the little bell so you get all the videos that come up. And if you know one person that's open to this type of inner work and they could benefit from it, please share it with them. Blessings to you all. Bye for now.